Are you planning to move to Northeast Tennessee? Maybe you've already made the decision, we are moving, or you're just starting to explore the area. Either way, you've probably asked yourself, where should we even start? Well, today, Shad and I are going to sit down, talk about moving to Northeast Tennessee, and planning your escape. So let's get started. Every month, we talk to dozens of people that are planning to move to Northeast Tennessee. Well, some of them already made the decision, and some are starting to explore the area. But they always seem to say, we don't even know where to start. You know, I've lived in this house for 40 years. We've never moved to another state. Maybe their parents are moving with them. They've got kids. I mean, you're working with a family that has miniature ponies. So they're looking for some guidance. And I think we'll agree that we always suggest that if somebody is thinking of moving to another area, that they reach out to a local realtor, someone that knows the area well. Maybe they have tools and materials to help those people expedite getting to know the area even better. And hey, people could call us because we specialize in helping people that are moving to Northeast Tennessee.
Yeah, a lot of people are considering our area or other regions or other areas within our own region or other areas of the country. But we tell them if they're interested in the Tri-Cities, they haven't really been here before. You know, a lot of times people visited with their family, the Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg area when they were kids or something like that, didn't really experience much of the Tri-City area. It's not really on a lot of people's radar. So the very first thing to do is reach out to us via phone call. We can really strategize, talk about everything that's going on in their lives, from whether they're having to sell their home, the transition, everything in between of what they're looking for, being close to hospitals or schools are important, or being out in the country. There are a multitude of things that we need to discuss first over the phone. And you handle most of the incoming phone calls right out of the gate. So
yes, and I think it's good to have an idea of someone's price point. Sure, they don't always know exactly what that price point is, but the reason it's helpful, it helps us to understand whether they're going to be able to find what they're looking for at that price point. I'll give you an example. I had someone reach out to me. They were looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, fully renovated or brand new home, 2-car garage, outbuilding on acreage with mountain views. And their price point was $350,000 or less. Unfortunately, that's not a realistic expectation in our market because, you know, like all areas across the U.S., prices have gone up. Now, like you always say, there's usually the property that anyone is looking for. It's out there. It's just a matter of timing. But occasionally there'll be somebody that just sort of has an unrealistic expectation. So it's kind of nice to talk to them about that, what they would expect before they make a trip out here, which that's the other thing we always suggest is visiting. So I know you're big on the visiting. I'll let you talk about that.
yeah. I mean, I tell people really the housing is almost secondary to the primary position of trying to figure out where would you like to be. You know, there's some differences in between the cities and the communities, distances from other cities and areas that you might want to be closer to. I've got some people that want to be closer to Bristol because they have family up in Virginia. So everybody has their different unique perspective or situation depending on their needs and their family needs and things of that nature. So it's very important to come visit and try to figure out which community or city fits you the best, because they do, you know, there's changes, there's minute differences between the areas that we find that when we bring them into the office, when they come to visit, we talk about sending them out on driving tours and different things to experience those communities, to really get a feel for, okay, we're interested in this city or this community or this area, but not so much on this particular area. It really helps focus what would be the secondary situation part is finding the home then.
Yeah, let's talk about, again, when they do come to visit, what we like to do is set up a time to meet. And if buyers can give us as much notice as possible, that's great, because it's so disappointing for them and for us if maybe they show up at the office and we've had a really busy week and we're not able to meet with them. So we'd like to schedule a meeting early on during their visit. That'll help them for the rest of their visit while they're exploring the area. We sit down in the conference room, we pull up our big screen television with the map, and we go over the area, the different towns, like you said, locations, hospitals, shopping, maybe the schools. Now, sometimes early on, people already know, let's narrow down this search based on, well, we want to be 15 minutes to a major hospital, like Johnson City Medical's level and trauma center. So we go through the whole area like that. And it really depends on where they're at in the process. If they are just looking at the area and exploring, we'll go through the listings that kind of meet their criteria, so they can kind of see the type of homes they would see if a year from now or 2 years from now or 2 days from now they start shopping for a home. And they may decide to drive past some of those homes, where as someone that is looking now, we would be looking at homes to set up for showings. But let's talk about these driving tours and how we utilize those. You created those, and they've been very helpful.
Yeah, I've tried pointing out different, points of interest for people, depending on, again, we're trying to make these tours relatable to a lot of different scenarios. Some people are coming here with a large family. Some people, it's just two people, one person. So we try to cover as much as the area as possible, as far as going into the downtown areas of these cities, skirting the sections outside the city, as far as do they want to be more out in the country. Everybody has their different areas that they want to be. Some people might just want to be within Johnson City, for instance. So we've got a tour for that. Also along the tours, we point out some different restaurants or some different points of interest. They might be able to stop and have a good meal, whether it's lunch, dinner, things of that nature. But also, you got your kids with you. You want to swing into a park, stretch your legs. These tours aren't like super long. We do tell people that, it'd be nice if you could spend at least a couple days here at minimum. Some people come for a week. Try to have fun, have a vacation, but also be productive and efficient with their time while they're here, as far as just driving through some areas and really kind of hone in on the ones that really fit them the best.
Yeah, the driving tours, they're about an hour and a half each.
Yep.
If you're not making stops. And there's a lot of fun stops along the way. I'm just going to, for example, there's one along the Cowboy Corridor, the area we call the Cowboy Corridor. And, you might want to stop at Troyer's, one of our favorite places. This is a country market. You can get ice cream, coffee. We like to go there, get sandwiches, and set out on the front deck. And the great thing about that, I can't tell you how many people have said to us, they're sitting out in the front deck and they're talking to other people. Immerse yourself in the area. People are super friendly, so be prepared to talk a lot, but hear their stories. And then afterwards, of course, you have to hit Annie Ruth's, which is in the parking lot, another little store there with the delicious donuts and pretzels. Somebody the other day sent me a text. I had sent them over there, and they go, Annie Ruth's donuts are the bomb. So, you can do fun stops along the way. There's self-driving tours. And the idea is that by the time you leave this area, you're going to know, is Northeast Tennessee for me or not? Mm-hmm. And which towns do I want to live in, and which towns, don't I want to live in? And we realize Northeast Tennessee isn't for everyone. Our approach is not to sell you on the area. It's to help you explore the area. Now let's talk about another thing that comes up. People that aren't really ready to buy, maybe they're 6 months out, a year, they're coming to the area, and they're wanting to look at homes.
Well, yeah. I mean, if they're not ready at that moment in time, then it can be a little challenging, because the housing inventory is still historically low. So we're still dealing with inventory levels that's is one of the most challenging parts of our jobs currently, is finding the homes, because we had talked about timing, right? A lot of times people come here, even if they're ready to buy a home, and they come here for a week expecting to try to find one. Sometimes we do strike out because it's just not available then. But we can point out closed sales or activities within the last year. We can point out definitely there's homes that have sold in that time frame. So it's just a matter of the timing of a lot of the situations as far as that goes. But one thing that we do offer as well and I guess we'll probably bounce back and forth here on a few different things, topics, but one of the things that we offer some of these clients when they do come in and they're ready to buy is that if they go back home where they're from and haven't found anything yet, we will continue that search process on their behalf. And when something does pop up that fits their criteria, we go look at it and do a FaceTime video call with them, or we record videos, so email them to them so they can still get a feel for that house and the way that we show it, so we can still act even if they're not here physically in person.
Yeah, we're their eyes and ears, the boots on the ground. And we work with a tremendous amount of buyers that do meet with us. They get to know us. Maybe we've shown them homes. They go home. Of course, 5 minutes after they leave here, the perfect home comes up. So we're out showing it on FaceTime. But we are going to be there every step of the way, walk them through that, and get them to closing. Now, back to what you had mentioned earlier about showing homes. Sometimes people will come here and they're not ready to buy. And I often have received emails, we want to see these 6 or 8 homes. I had one, Mountain City, Rogersville, Kingsport, Irwin. There were homes kind of all over the place, which led me to believe maybe they weren't real familiar with the area. Maybe they were. Because the homes were so far and the towns were so different from one another, we really encourage people to meet with us, try to do the driving tours, maybe drive past some neighborhoods. Often right during the initial meeting, they'll realize, oh, wait a minute, I'm not interested in this town because I require a major hospital, or I want the Lowe's next door, whatever it might be. So we really encourage them to do the driving tours, get to know the area, because nothing's worse than buying a house because you didn't really know the area, and then later, say, oh my goodness, I wish I lived in this other town.
Right.
And we really want people to be happy. So by the time buyers get done with a meeting with us, they would have gone over the area with us, the type of strategies, their price point. They may be scheduled to see homes. They may be planning to drive by some homes. They would have the driving tours. We like to tell them about fun things to do. We have restaurant recommendations, all different types of things, parks, historic town. We have just tons of information. We write articles every month. So we really can help people expedite learning about the area.
Yeah, and when we actually show homes, it's more or less for people that are actually pre-approved. You have proof of funds letter or something if you pay with cash. Sometimes sellers require that before they even set up the showing. So, asking sellers to vacate their home just so you can look at it, but you're a year or two out doesn't do anyone any good. The price point sometimes can change within that time period. So if you were looking at a home and you're capping yourself at around $400,000, that home in a year or two could be, and you just never know, but it could be $450,000 or so by then, which is out of your budget. So it's kind of putting the cart before the horse on a few different things. And that's why we tell people, if you're not ready to buy now, come here to visit and get a feel for the area. But then realize that there will be a time down the road when you will be ready. Either you can be here physically in person or not. When you are ready, that's when we really start amping up the house search and focus on getting in them as soon as possible, because we have to react very quickly when you're ready to buy. And that's why we always talk about having that pre-approval letter or having the proof of funds situation if you're paying with cash. We have to present it with the offer so we can tell the seller that you are qualified, you're ready to rock and roll. If you're not, then we're kind of, again, putting the cart before the horse of let's look at this house, but we're not ready to buy it for another year or so. It's really defeating the purpose and wasting some of your valuable time while you're here.
And if you visit and you decide Northeast Tennessee isn't for you, or you decide in a different area, a lot of people that we meet with are looking at other cities, they're looking at other states.
Sure.
I've had buyers maybe on the way here, one sent me email, oh, I'm so sorry. We bought a house in North Carolina on the lake, with acreage. I'm like, don't be sorry, congratulations.
Yeah.
We're happy wherever you land. So once you have visited and you've decided, hey, Northeast Tennessee is for me, there's some things probably you should be doing back home. And maybe you've already started them. So the one thing would be if you have a home currently that you have to sell, reach out to your local realtor. And the realtor is going to be able to help you with quite a few things. What do you think they should be looking for from their realtor as far as their home back home as far as selling it?
Set expectations on their end, because every market is different. So they need to realize, okay, well, if we list at this price, what are we looking for as a potential selling times? Are we going to be able to sell this within a week of listing it? Is it going to be multiple offer situation like some areas of the country? Or has your area kind of slowed down a little bit where it could take a few months? Those kind of things. Sometimes I do talk to the realtor on the other end, try to get a feel situation, because then on this end, we have to relay that information to a potential seller as well in any sort of a contract situation. But so we're always trying to line everything up as best as we can. And so that's the important part with on their end. If they're in Texas, and talk to your agent about, how's the market here? What your expectations might be, especially if you have to include the contingency of that house closing to buy the house here. But we talk about all kinds of different strategies, all kinds of different situations with people, because everybody's got a different situation going on.
Another good thing to talk to your realtor about, if you are in one of those hot markets or a hot neighborhood, the possibility of a lease back. Now, it may have a different term wherever you're living, but what it allows you to do is, let's say you're closing in 30 days. It would allow you to stay in your home for an additional 30 days or whatever you agreed to with the buyer. Some buyers might even let you stay for free because they just like, hey, well, we're fine with waiting for your house as long as we get to be the ones that get to buy it, or you'll accept our offer. So that's a big plus if you could do that. So you might want to talk to your realtor about that. That gives you a little extra time. One other thing is, I think having that realtor come, just having an extra set of eyes to kind of take a look at your house. Maybe they have a couple tips of a few things that you should be doing, and you should be all set with that. But the other thing maybe back home, well, if you're going to be doing financing or having a mortgage on your home in Northeast Tennessee, would be reaching out to a lender. And we have a list of lender recommendations if you want someone local here. And that can be good to be working with a local.
That can be advantageous sometimes to have a local lender. They know all of the ins and outs of the local market, dealing even simple things of the appraisers might have a relationship with that particular lender over time versus a national lender situation. But we tell people whoever they're comfortable with working with is who we're comfortable working with. But a lot of times it does fall on a local lender to really bring out all of the advantages and disadvantages of that within getting the payouts and different things. Or even sometimes if you don't have to sell your house where you're coming from too, well, you're buying this as a secondary home. So what's that mean? Your lender can really lay all that stuff out for you.
Yeah, I think talking to the lender, you have so many things you may be considering. Maybe you have a remote job, and so they'll need some verification with that. Sometimes you're starting a new job or new employment, and lenders have different requirements. We've seen them where if you have an offer employment, you're great, you're good to go, or you need to work on your job here in Northeast Tennessee for a certain amount of time.
Yep.
So you want to know what your payments, your interest rate, what your down payment's going to be. Also, hey, you may think you have great credit, and in this day and age with fraud and everything, something could be going on you don't know about. You don't want that surprise last minute. So if you have all your ducks in a row and you've got your pre-approval, that's a real advantage because you're going to need it anyways.
Yep.
Now you know what you could sell your home for. You know what you can qualify for, or even if you're going to be a cash buyer. You need to know if you can get to that cash easily. First of all, you're going to need to show proof of funds if you put an offer in on a home. But we have seen some buyers with a few hiccups along the way because maybe it's in some type of retirement fund or something like that. If you know you're buying a house, maybe you want to move it over to a bank account where you can have easy access.
Yeah, there could be
to
a
it.
time delay depending on the investment
Yeah,
portfolio, things of that nature. Also, too, going back to if you need to sell your house, it's put you at a disadvantage if you're competing with other buyers on a house here if you haven't had your house listed or at least close to having it listed. It's preferred by a seller here if you're going to use that contingency within a contract of your home selling, that it's already under contract. But if it's not, to say, well, we're going to get with a realtor in a few weeks, we're going to put our house on the market next month, that doesn't really help you strategy-wise with getting an acceptable offer on this end. Mm-hmm. So we really need to talk to our clients about those situations and, okay, how fast can we get these up? Like if you're talking to your local realtor, maybe they use a professional photographer, get those photos taken, get ready to rock and roll on that, because you're telling a seller here to pull their house off the market to accept your offer, but you don't have your ducks in a row on your end. So that's important to have that conversation too.
Yeah, the less contingencies a buyer has, the better. Of course, people, many sellers will take a contingency on another home closing, but they like to know it's already under contract. And that's actually written in to the offer, those details. But also, if you're paying cash or you've already sold your home, that's even better. And of course, we always recommend that people have inspections. So that's a contingency we really hope that most buyers are not going to forego. We don't really recommend that.
Yeah, and we haven't really talked about the buyers that have already sold their home, and so they're packing their stuff up. And so sometimes people are dealing with pods or different types of moving truck companies and different things like that. But sometimes it might be advantageous to some people to put their personal belongings into some form of a storage, like a pod system. Come here, stay in an extended stay hotel, stay in an Airbnb for a while as they're actually looking, if they want to be here physically to look at the same time. So again, another situation that we haven't even covered yet that we deal with all the time, depending on the family and the situation.
That's definitely something we're going to do. We're going to talk about strategies. We'll probably touch on that in the first conversation, and it goes all the way through to, as we're negotiating with homes and things, about the strategy, helping them work through that. Maybe they're going to have the lease back. Their home's going to go under contract. It's going to buy them maybe 60 days. Great. We get them under contract. A lot of our homes are closing in 30 days, so they might just go from one house to the other, to their new home in Northeast Tennessee. They may decide they're going to stay in an Airbnb or short-term rental for a little while. Some people stay in RVs.
Yeah.
And some, like you mentioned, if they have the luxury of buying a home here in Northeast Tennessee, then selling, that's great too. So we've seen that quite a few times this last year. Maybe people getting ready for retirement and they've bought a home in Northeast Tennessee and they're just taking their time to kind of move into it, and then they'll go ahead and sell their home.
Yeah, I've always wanted my own RV, and I've never had one, but it seems like a lot of people have RVs, a lot
Yeah.
more than I anticipated.
And we even have an article or recommendations for great RV parks here in this area. And we're happy to share that with anyone that's planning to come, either just for their initial visit or they may be staying here and looking for a house. I think when you know what you can sell your home for, you've got your financing or your pre-approval in place, we've got kind of the strategy, how you're going to move here, you're pretty much ready to move. Maybe one thing to do, and this is whether you are 2 years out, 5 years out, and the longer you've stayed at your home, is starting to declutter. Get rid of some stuff, pack some stuff up. And I'm amazed I'm not really surprised at the cost of moving. A lot of people get rid of a lot of their furniture and actually start over. But people know what's right for them. Mm-hmm. But start decluttering. And when all these things start to come together, you're really ready to make the move.
Yeah, and moving's not fun. I've never had fun moving. I've been excited about moving to different places and whatnot, and starting a new journey in life. But we know it's not fun to move your stuff. So we get all the frustration and anxiety of the entire process. But that's what we're here for, is to try to calm some nerves and be the calming force, if you will, as far as understanding that this is what we do for a living. We will get you through this process. Just, trust the process, and that then we'll take good care of them.
Definitely. We're, really committed to our buyers, to helping them get into the next chapter of their life. And long after they move here, we stay in touch with them. I know you and I both love, we watch a lot of them on Facebook. We have an annual party with all the buyers. I love that. Some years they're like, oh, we're the California table, or, we're the car hobby people, or whatever it is. So we like to maintain a relationship, and it's one of the things we really love about
I can't get enough of when people say that we just love living here. It was our best decision we've ever made. Things like that. Really, really, really nice to hear, for sure.
The other day, remember, we were out in Greenville, and we visited with some buyers, and not only were they able to buy a new home, they were able to buy the lot next to them and like acreage behind them then with a pond. And he goes, I want to give you a hug because this is what freedom looks like. So anyways, if you're thinking about moving to Northeast Tennessee and you have questions about the area, as I'm sure you do, because it is a little daunting moving, across the country. I'm Stephanie. This is Shad. We're the Freck Group with Greater Impact Realty. Our team specializes in working with people just like you that are moving across the country. We're here to answer any questions you have. Give us a call, text, or email us, and we'd be happy to help you. And if you like this kind of content, subscribe and follow Living in Johnson City, Tennessee. You're going to see more videos like this, videos about towns, about neighborhoods, about fun things to do. Remember, it's never too soon to start planning your move. We hope to see you real soon.